my goodness. Hello, 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 hello. Good people, good people. Let's see. Hold up. Let me get myself and my space together. Oh, hold on. Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Hi, Kiara. Can you hear me okay? I always keep asking that because I just want everything to be right. Let me know if you can hear me, sister. Mm, 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 mm. Wonderful. Excellent. Well, y'all make sure to share. Go ahead and share the live to your page, to every page. Go ahead and share the live so we can have this conversation. And please feel free to comment, talk, so we can get everybody in on this and get some different perspectives on this subject matter. Oh, y'all see me picking out my beard health. Now, I haven't shaved, okay, to line it up, but it definitely does stay moisturized. Do I have my, y'all baby look, I was gonna do a shameless plug to Shea Moisture Beard Moisturizer. Because that gets me all the way together. Um, I also love this while we're talking. I got these are incense cones. Let me see if my camera cares. Yes, lavender incense cones. I got this from World Market, which is one of my favorite places in existence, point blank, period. At first, I was not a person that was interested at all in incense because my body doesn't respond the best to smoke. But I love these, and these smell great, and then they're purple. They match. Oh, well, they don't match exactly. The point of the matter is they're good. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and address what this video is supposed to be about. Child, we got not the dog going off in the background. We got the difference between, and rather spotlighting, symptoms, diseases, and death. Ooh. Now, I know this definitely does sound very doom and gloom, but I promise you, it's not doom and gloom. It's not doom and gloom. People like, not the day before Thanksgiving. Most certainly. Um, but for those of people watching, come on. I see we got 6 people in here, which is excellent. If you can just comment and just give me something, tell me hi, tell me hello, so I know that you're there. You're not a robot. And also, again, as we discuss this thing today, please feel free to comment and engage. So, shall we start? I, in school, still in school, had and still low key do, disdain for math, especially in like high school, middle school. I was like, oh dear God. I was like, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in that. Okay. I'm not interested in any of those things. Wait a minute. Let me see who my people are on here. Hi, Keelani. Oh my gosh. So listen, she's an amazing artist. Go forth and conquer. Okay. And purchase and stream her music. She's fantastic. Got my sister girl, Lynette, in here. Wonderful. She gonna have stuff coming out soon. She don't know it yet, but she is. We have my sister, my other sister girl, Kira, here, who has products. Go follow her. Let me continue before I get off track. Okay, I'm back. So listen, I couldn't stand it. I was like, child, can you please give me a paper and a pen? Because I'm a writer. Give me a paper and a pen. But that was not the testimony, honey. You needed algebra, you needed geometry, you needed math, you needed these things. Well, it is not until I step forward into my spiritual life that I understood, as all things, the importance of it. I was I used to get frustrated when, I'll be like, child, why do I have to show all of this work? Are you going to grade my work, or are you going to grade the answers? But I come today to tell you that the importance of showing your work, right? Biggest takeaway from math is so that if the answer was incorrect, you would be able to go back and go through the previous work to see where it is you went wrong. If the answer is incorrect, you would be able to go back through your own work to see what errors or what inaccuracies you made. Oftentimes in our society, in our families, especially in people of color households, Black households, we are so taught and conditioned to deal with end results that we don't even take the time to explore, express, determine, try to figure out where or why. We focus on what. What tells you the facts in the sense of this is what it is, okay? But it doesn't give you any information then everybody already knows. So if I say, what happened, or what are you wearing? You say, I'm wearing red, right? That's the only thing that gives me, I can't go any further than that. What tells you exactly the material, the face front value? It does not answer how or why. What is materialistic? How and why is spiritual? When we talk about symptoms, everybody, I'm sure, has had the flu at some point. Okay. Everybody has had some type of illness. I have allergies. And there are a whole host of symptoms that come by virtue of the illness that you have, right? But the problem with that is we, as it pertains to our emotional relationships, our friendships, our family ships, our love relationships, we deal with and try to treat the symptom. Now, if every time somebody says a certain word to you or something to that nature, and you flip out, flip the table over, knock over stuff, and want to fight them, okay, yes, sure. They probably just shouldn't say whatever they said. Okay. But that response, that reaction is a symptom of something greater. If you have the flu and the only thing you're trying to do is treat a cough or a runny nose, you are doing nothing to target the illness. You're not doing anything to target the virus, honey, that is running rampant in your system. You are just masking and becoming more comfortable with the uncomfortability that comes with it. We do this a lot. You have this, or this is the elephant in the room, y'all. Within our families, it is so much, I'm not even going to say easier, because in the long run it's not. It's so much more common, child, to deal only with the effects of a thing and not the actual thing. Y'all, like, we people come around, child, there's people you don't like, people who have done stuff to folks in the family, and we go around here and we do nothing but mask and mask. Hey, Z's, we do nothing but mask and mask all of these freaking symptoms, when the real problem Nobody has yet to address or talk about. That is the reason why you have the same stuff happening over and over again, because the only thing that you've been addressing is the symptoms. That's it. That's it. You can't cure a thing simply by dealing with the symptoms. All it does is makes you comfortable. We know in our families that there is a lot of unspoken trauma and things that people want to sweep underneath the rug, honey, hide away, that they don't want to talk about. But then wonder why we have all of this chaos that happens after it and because of it. And that continues to happen. And then we want to talk about the generational curses. And then we want to talk about the cycles and cycles. Okay, but why is the cycle happening? This is when we have to separate ourselves from the symptoms and move to address what the actual illness is, what the actual cause is. Cause and effect. You just dealing with effect. What is the cause of this? If you as a parent don't understand why your children find themselves in relationships with people that are out of control, child don't really show up for your child in the way that they should, don't honor your child in the way that they should, instead of you as the parent harping on the child for dealing with it, I ask you, where did they learn that from? Where did they learn that from? Who was the person? Who were the people that taught them how to accept and be in partnership with people? Who raised you? Where did the people get this information from? You see, because it is a pattern, especially for children. Children can only do, people can only do what they know to do. People can only do what it is that they know to do. So the question is, the only reason how you know something is because somebody told you. Again, you harping on the symptom and you're not dealing with the cause. Perhaps you gave your child a demonstration on how to love someone to your own detriment. And perhaps that is the reason why your child is in the midst of this situation. Perhaps. Again, symptoms versus illnesses or disease. Causes versus effects. Even as it pertains to our own personal things, like there was someone that I went to school with, okay, that had an issue with people, like if you were to touch their shoulder, they will flip out and have a problem with you. Okay. So me or anyone not knowing that, you will sit up here and try to tell them to calm down. Okay. You try to get mad at them for their response and their reactions. Okay. But there is a reason why this is this person's response. And if you get down to the thing, and when we got down to the thing, we found out that there was, histories of deep-rooted trauma that was the cause of this response. This is also coming against those of us who like to judge people. Let's talk about it. It is easier for us to cuss somebody out, talk down about them because they have offended us. It's very easy to do that. Okay? because you are reacting to something. Reaction, that's automated. It doesn't require any thought processes. It doesn't require accountability. It's an automated response. Somebody hit me, I punch you back. There's just this response. Okay, something comes to your eyes closed. It's a reaction, automatic reaction. But the problem is, oh, I just saw this. Z. She said, "Woo, child, yes, because we're teaching, we're speaking and preaching and teaching today." It's easy for us to get mad at them and call them this and call them that and call them these other things. But it requires another level of being and spiritual accountability to sit there and ask the question, why? As we talked about earlier, instead of being so focused on the what, because that don't give you no information. They cheated. They lied. They this. They that. It's easy for you to get mad at that. But let's go ahead and get into because let me tell you something. Focusing on the what is how you stay sick. Focusing on the what is how you stay sick and diseased. So you are so caught up in the effect, so caught up in the end result that you, even for your own self, I'm not even asking you to be so considerate of them, but for your own healing, you do have to be considerate of them. Well, if you're wondering why this person cheated on you, taking a second to think back as to why this might have been the case or why this individual is the type of person to do that, well, you knew that when they were growing up, that was the only experience that they had of their parents and of love relationships, where the father or the mother would cheat and cheat and cheat, and the other parent would accept it and deal with it and love them unconditionally. So in their mind, they think that I can do these things and this is the way that things are supposed to go. Symptoms, causes. But now let's step further. Sometimes the bad relationship is a symptom of a self-worth disease within your own self. If you keep finding yourself with the same symptoms, begin a relationship with people that's untrustworthy, get in a relationship with people that's inconsistent, staying connected to this failing. Okay, well, you are the common denominator here. Again, the reason why you continue to cough and sneeze is because you're trying to deal with the sneeze and the cough and not trying to deal with the flu, which is you. Symptoms, causes. Because understanding the law of attraction, I'm going to have a series on the universal laws. Understanding the law of attraction, honey, understanding the way the universe works, child, you will understand that it was you that not only attracted but accepted this person. So the question is, instead of what's happening, what they did, what they keep doing, didn't I say? Let's talk about why. Why do you keep accepting people that do not meet your requirements? Why do you keep accepting people who do not meet your requirements? Why do you keep finding yourself in relationships that are what's the word I'm looking for? Lacking in reciprocity, honey. Why? Because you can windmill all these people, but you the one keep getting with them. Symptoms, causes. symptoms, illnesses, symptoms, diseases. All this stuff is a symptom of something greater that's happening here. And a part of the first thing, honey, that pertains to trying to heal a thing, even if you go to the doctor, they have to get, it's a diagnosis, which is an acknowledgement of the disease, which means, man, I have ignored every single warning sign, and I have accepted these individuals into my life over and over and over again, ad nauseum. I have a problem with self-worth. I was raised and taught to believe, to accept whoever, whenever, whatever, as long as they say they love me. That's a diagnosis. So now that you are willing, to identify the disease, it is at that point that you are able to just get out of this reaction to the effects, to actually responding. And we get into the process arena. Let's get the exact definition for process. I'm looking right here on my iPad. We're going to get the exact definition of process because we get so caught up in the reaction. Let's get the definition of process. A series of actions or steps in order to achieve a particular end. So now that we have identified, because the symptoms let you know, wait a minute, there's something wrong. That's the point of the symptoms. The symptoms are cue pointers to let you know that there is a disease present. Those are the symptoms. That's why symptoms are a thing. Symptoms like, hey, there is something wrong. Pain is a symptom in your body. The reason why you feel pain is because if you didn't, you'd probably be dead. You've been bleeding, didn't even know you was bleeding. All of those things are symptoms. So symptoms are supposed to be your tap on the shoulder, like, hey, this is a problem, okay? Then being real with yourself and evaluating your symptoms, as a doctor does, evaluating your symptoms, you can get real and get honest and get to the pathology of the thing and understand what the diagnosis is. I was dead as wrong. Or I have issues with this. This is stemming here. I have unhealed relationships with men. I have issues. I've always had problems with my relationship with men. Okay, let me understand that. I have a jealousy energy about myself. Self-worth problems. Okay? There's something wrong with how I receive information. Everything that I receive, oh, come on, and intimacy. Right. So you done got your diagnosis, right? You don't understand what the disease is. We went from the symptoms. Now we understand the disease. Now there is a process, because the biggest lie told was that you need to feel your feelings. And that is processing. No. You're already feeling your feelings. That's why you're here now. There has to be a process. Okay? You can feel your feelings all day long. But what you want to do is process your feelings. And an action, again, process, a series of actions or steps taken, process your feelings. And a part of the process is to sit in and identify what is wrong. That's the quote unquote feeling it. But a lot of us stop there. We feel it, and then we harden, and then we become bitter. So there is a series of steps that come after you realize that there is a problem. I can't tell you how many times, even myself, days, months, weeks, years have passed, and I still got the same feeling because I'm windmilling for my right to feel. Okay, but I look at them, they're not even thinking about it. They're not even thinking about it. I'm the only one that suffers. Dr. Maya Angelou said this: you can be angry, but you must not become bitter, because bitterness does nothing to the person that made you angry. Bitterness only feeds on the host like a cancer. And that's what happens when you don't finish the process and you get caught up in this feeling and you're trying to validate your right to feel. That's a symptom in itself. Why do you need other people to validate how you feel? Girl, ain't it you feeling it? You don't have to windmill for your right to feel. You already feeling it. That's why you windmilling. But when we get to how to move on to the process, honey, you have to process this thing. You have to get up and do something with this, or you're going to be depressed, or excuse me, that's a diagnosis, a clinical diagnosis. You're going to be sad, upset, and frustrated until, honey, the end. We got to process it. A part of your process, and everyone does this, a good part of the process, girl, is to call a rational person. Call a rational person and say, hey, I need you to help me think through this, because I know, because I am emotionally aware, that when I am upset, I do not make the best choices and decisions, and it's hard for me to see things clearly. I need an agreement partner. I need an awareness partner to hear what I'm saying and help me make sense to me. Because you're not confused on how you feel. So you don't need nobody to validate that. You don't need anybody to validate what you feel, but you may need help processing to get to why you feel that. And what is this actually about? 99% of our upsets with other people has nothing to do with that person. I was at an IHOP and this man had made a joke. It was grandly inappropriate about my weight, even though he was like 300 or something pounds himself. Okay. So be it. He made a joke about my weight, and I, in fact, was I probably was 40, 50 pounds less than what I am right now. And I left. I walked out. I walked out because I said, hey, this is a soft spot for me, and we're finna have a problem. So I walked out. Weeks later, I went back to that IHOP with a whole separate group of friends, had a terrible day. He was there again. Y'all, he made another joke, and I flipped the register off the counter, pushed it off, and it broke. And my friends had to pull me out of there. Now, symptoms versus causes. All of that anger was, all of that was a symptom of a greater trauma that I had dealing with people, circumstances, situations that had nothing to do with the man that was receiving this anger. We got to eliminate the word trigger. He was a reminder. He did have me messed up. He did. But this is the thing, Kehlani. He was a reminder of the trauma. He was a reminder of the thing that was unhealed within me or unclarified within me. He was a reminder. So as much as he was wrong, people can be wrong all day long, but that does not make way for me to step out of my character, because that's not in my character to do that. I could have responded by reporting him, and he may be looking for another job. I didn't have to respond in that way. Or excuse me, because I didn't respond, I reacted. Because if I did respond, there would have been a process. And it comes full circle. So we understand the symptoms. We understand the process, right? Well, the start of the process. A good way, like I said, call a friend, honey. Seek help. Evaluate. What? I see what you're saying. Yeah. Evaluate the circumstance and see it for exactly what it is. I have learned to, in real time, as soon as I'm affected by something, I literally have to stop and pause and be like, okay, what am I really mad at? Am I really mad at them? Or am I reminded of something and I'm still mad at that because I haven't dealt with that? Because if I dealt with that, this would not bring about this response in me. Okay. So I'm not going to bust you on top of your head right now. Instead, I'm going to tell you to watch your mouth. Okay. And I'm going to disassociate from you because I've learned to be responsible and check myself in real time. In real time. Because I know that, like I said, and like everyone needs to know, literally when you get angry, you get upset, there's a lack of oxygen flow that's coming to the brain. There's a lack of oxygen flow that's coming to the brain, which means that you are not thinking clearly. Physiologically, you're not thinking clearly. So I know, because I know that, I have to go, wait a minute. I said, wait, ooh. I breathe, I take a breath because I know my brain ain't getting no oxygen. And I said, okay, I said, what is this actually about? Okay. I'm still mad at my dad for something that happened, or I'm still mad at my teacher or my friends from doing something, or I'm still mad about that. Not that it's invalid, but that needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed. Okay. So now we understand the symptoms. We've gotten a bit of the processing. Now let's move to something that is, symptoms and diseases. Now let's move on to something, to death. Right. Now, when you hear that, you're like, oh my God, what do you mean death? That's the end. Yeah. It's the end of a condition. Right. It is the end of a state of being. Right. That's what it is. So there are things in which we say, we finish what we over with. I don't deal with that anymore. I don't struggle with that no more. That stuff don't affect me. You say that until it does, because it hasn't really died. What you have done is buried it alive. You have buried it alive. We do this all the time with this with toxifying our masculine energy. Men, women, non-binary pals, everyone toxifies their masculine energy by trying to act tough and hard and unaffected. And what happens, boo, is when you act unaffected, you don't process. When you try to act hard, you don't process. When you get up and you dust your shoulders off and shake off your shoulders and keep moving, you don't process. I was talking to one of my friends whose mother, honey, has been through a lot of things in her life. There was someone who was killed in their neighborhood that they all knew. One of the neighbors was talking to her and said, I'm going to take off work today. This is too much. My friend's mother thought that that was ridiculous, and she went into work herself. When in fact, that was not ridiculous. That was traumatic. And what the woman was doing was taking care of her mental and emotional health. But when you have been conditioned to work, don't stop, to get over it, you don't process anything. She didn't take time to process the fact that a friend of hers, someone who watched her house when she was out of town, was killed because we are living and have been breathing in a toxified masculine energy, in a supremacist masculine energy, and that's a whole nother life. That causes us to lose our sense of spirit, truly of humanness, of empathy, all based upon that notion of being tough, of having to be resilient, of having to be hard, of having to be this, of having to be that. You do not process. So we cannot die. Even when a person dies, they don't just be like, well, and slap them in the ground. There is a process. There is a process to these things. And in the process of trying to bring death to a phase in your life, a lower frequency, a inaccurate way of thinking, feelings about a relationship that you no longer want or that you know is not healthy for you, we go through the 5 stages of grief, honey, and we're going to look at these things here. You have the denial, you have the anger, okay? You have the bargaining, you have the depression, and then you finally get to acceptance. Now, one of the things that they tell us all the time is that none of those happen in that order. Sometimes we start at acceptance and then we go back and say, no, this, that, and the other. Anger, furious, enraged. That's one of the first 2 that happens. Bargaining, you trying to make an exchange for something. You have depression, where you sit in this state of, how do you say it? Because it's not, depression is not necessarily just of sadness, because I was depressed by overworking myself. That's how I handled it. The point is that when you are trying to get rid of a thing, when you're trying to correct a thing, honey, there's a certain amount of processes that you have to go through. And the death and the closure of that thing is full of a process as well. I'll tell you this. You know when you are truly over something or you have let it die, if you can pay your respects to it and keep pushing. Just like the dead, when you have funerals, you are paying your respect because that person is truly dead. You can honor that person for who they were, for the memories you shared, and for what they taught you. Because they're truly dead. As it pertains to relationships, to feelings, to time periods, to phases, if you can't pay your respects to it, then it's not dead. If you can't pay your respects to that quote unquote failed relationship, then it's not dead. If you can't say, you know what, we did not work out. It did not work out how I intended for it to work out, which was for us to be together and stay together and have this family and great things to come. But I understand, paying respects, I understand the purpose of this. And I'm grateful for the lessons and the better version of myself that emerged from this situation. Just paying your respects. Oh, but when you dust it off like it ain't affected you, you bury it in alcohol, you bury it in sex, you bury it in rage, you bury it in obliviousness, you bury it in religion, you bury it in hobbies. And buried alive things don't die. They fester and they grow and they pop up, manifest, and infect in ways that you don't even understand. You don't understand how what this person said to you in the lunch line, this person stepping on your shoe in the lunch line, has to do with way back when you were a child and was made fun of for your shoes. Buried alive things don't die. They fester. You got to be able to pay your respects to a thing and keep it moving. If you have not been able to pay your respects, if you have not been able to make it to the funeral, that's because it's not dead. And a part of that is not even just about cutting it off and being done with it. When someone dies, stay with me. When someone dies, there is a transition. They change forms, just like energy, not created, not destroyed, only transferred. So when someone dies, they transform, or they are transferred, or they transition into a higher or another frequency. Meaning, the death of feelings about a relationship or an era of yourself or whatever, the death of that is not to be cut it off, forget it forever. It is to transform that into something that is of a higher usable frequency for you. That's why you gotta process it so that it can be transformed. That's why you have to process it. It's like with the body. Someone dies, honey, the person has to come up and see that the person is dead. Then they transfer the person to a coroner where they go in, do an examination of the body, denoting everything that there is, an in-depth examination. Open it up and look at it for what it is to find out. What do they try to find? The cause of death. Period. They try to find out the cause of death because that's a part of the process. And once they find out the cause of death, making sure there was no foul play, because if there was foul play, they have to get clear about who it was and take the appropriate steps. Once they done got clear about all that, they put the body back together, honey, and send it to the funeral home, child, for the funeral. There's a process, and it is the same thing that you have to do in your life. The symptoms show up, all right? The symptoms is telling me something is wrong. My reactions are telling me something is wrong. My inner thoughts are telling me something is wrong. The spirit is telling me something is wrong. My life is telling me something is wrong. Symptoms. From the symptoms, it is my job to search that thing and figure out the disease from which these symptoms are coming from. Once you are able to use truth and honesty to determine the cause of the symptoms, you are able to fully look at that disease and go through a process to cure, heal, correct the illness. If you do not, you will be dealing with the same symptoms until either you get on the right frequency to address the disease or till the symptoms take you out of here. You figure out what the disease is. You go through the process. You take the right medications, therapy, trusted friends, journaling, separation from things, positive affirmations, discipline, consistency, good diet, good intake, and you heal what the disease is so that you do not have it. Or you lessen the effects of the disease to the point to where you might as well not have it, even if there are remnants. Then you take all of that thing and you're getting ready to transition it into something that is useful and inspiring and uplifting and something that people can grow from and learn from. And that is the depth. That is the transition. You're transitioning that energy, transferring it into something of a higher frequency that makes sense. There is a process. And nobody can tell you what your process is, but your life can tell you if you're processing or if you're trying to make do with the symptoms. I love y'all from a light-filled place. I thank you for tuning in for this discussion. There are so many more discussions and so many more lives that I'm going to do. As I said, we have guests and all types of things. Share this. You can watch my previous one, honey, and you can get your what? Your life. I love everybody. Again, thank you for joining on. Go ahead and share and comment. Oh, come on, Lynette. I love you more. I love you more. Enjoy y'all's Thanksgiving because I know that I will. Bye.